Hi there, I'm Reagan. Welcome to the Wool Roast. In this video, we will be featuring some yarn that I made, and I'll show you all about the process to make it, as well as reviewing a decaf coffee option that is commercially available to most people who are near a Starbucks. And if you don't like coffee, feel free to skip ahead to the fun fiber content. Okay, so I was going to make another espresso using the Boilermaker Bold, but it's the afternoon. I probably had too much coffee today already, so we're gonna do like a commercial review. This is Starbucks decaf single origin Sumatra. Supposedly it's notes of rich herbs and rustic spice, dark roast, which is great for Americano. So I'll probably just do a latte though today because we ran out of half and half, and so yeah, latte it is. Okay, so we're gonna review this. This is my decaf latte I made. I've been really into putting a little cinnamon on the top lately, and my Bosnian mother-in-law is here and made this delicious burek, which is like meat pie. It's delicious if you've never had it. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so this decaf Starbucks roast, really good. I got their coffee from the actual store, and I think it was a little fresher than like the store-bought version of it, like that Kroger or Publix sells. Also, they have better decaf options. Also, for like finding a decaf, especially because I'm trying to cut back on my caffeine consumption daily, is hard. So if you have any good decaf suggestions, please let me know. In terms of latte, I've been really enjoying cinnamon on my lattes. And pro tip, maybe stir it so that the actual espresso goes into the milk. Overall, this decaf option was pretty easy to drink and something light when you just need a little coffee fix, but not all the caffeine. Now let's jump to the fiber arts content. This is what my setup looks like. It's my polywog. And if you can see, I changed to a new bobbin because there's already some yarn on there. I hadn't gotten off the bobbin yet. And so when that happens, if I were to start plying in the opposite direction, it would be difficult and start like unplying or unwinding all that yarn and spinning it rather. So here I'm just connecting this. I need to put it on a higher ratio. It doesn't need to be that spun. I'm just connecting the strands to my leader. Okay, making sure you can see that. So now I'm gonna start going ahead and plying and kind of see what the tension and the twist looks like to make sure it's good. I like to make sure I have my yarn separated and evenly tensioned on both sides so that it has an even twist. And I'll pause so you can see. We'll check the tension. So far that's a little coiled. So when I drape it to see if it spins like that, sometimes that means it's overspun. But in this case, I kind of want a little bit more of an overspun yarn just because I like that look. So we'll continue on and see. I may even put a little bit more twist in it just because honestly I like that. So remember, when we ply, we go in the opposite direction. So I spun these clockwise. So in the, oh God, I always mess this up, in the Z twist. So when I ply, I want to go counterclockwise, S-wise. So I don't know, something about just like the overspun yarn look I like. I don't love when it looks too drapey, so I actually like it to be kind of crunched together, so maybe that's overspun. I don't know. Maybe my singles need to be spun more, but personally I like a little bit more robustness and like bounce look to the actual yarn itself. A lot of people don't love flying because it's just like it's just kind of like mundane, I think. You're just kind of going through the motions, if you will. But it's kind of a way to really put the finishing touches on the yarn. So like I said, if you want more twist or not. So I'm just gonna keep chugging along here. We'll check back in, and don't forget when you're applying to move your yarn to the new pegs in your bobbin. Yeah, so far, and also when you finish this, wet finish it, it will also fluff up a little bit. So you can see here, if I were to put more tension on one strand versus another, it kind of like coils onto itself. I don't know if you can see that. See how it's kind of like coiled a little bit? I'll focus that. That is a look some people want. That's not really what I'm going for here. So I just wanted to show that that could be a thing. So that's why we like to keep even tension. Okay, so here is just something I wanted to show you. It's a teaching moment. So this is the double 2-ply we're making, and let's make actually a plyback test with one of our singles. And this can kind of help us compare what we can expect with what we're actually getting. So this is just a plyback test with one of the yarns here, one of the threads. And so as I'm spinning the singles, I'll often do plyback tests just to make sure I'm still like getting what I want or consistent. And so this looks pretty darn close to what we're actually getting in the 2-ply. That's just kind of an interesting way to compare with what you expect with what you actually get. One way you can make plying more enjoyable is to listen to some music, maybe use it as a time of like reflection or meditation. That's something I've been trying to get more into. And I actually was thinking, like, could spinning be considered a form of meditation or crafting in general? Because I know with meditation, it's very much like clearing your mind, focusing on one thing. And I kind of feel that way when I'm spinning, to be honest, because I don't always spin the most like scientifically. Like, I'm not thinking in terms of like treadles per second or twist angle or ratio speeds when I'm spinning, although you can do that. I personally just like to kind of spin the yarn the way it wants to be spun. And to me, that tends to look the best. So like sometimes it's a 2-ply, and sometimes I prefer like a 3-ply, like a chain ply. A lot of times with the yarns, that's kind of the look I'm going for. But in this case, I was using this fiber on my drop spindle for one of my drop spindle kits when I was testing it, and I really loved the plyback test I got. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make this a 2-ply. So, and that's okay. But in terms of this being like a form of like a meditative practice, that could be the case. Some meditation uses like chanting. So, and in that case, you're not totally removing your mind from everything, you're still reciting a chant. So I kind of feel like this could also be a repetitious action that is essentially stilling your mind of everything else. Spinning or plying, I would say plying probably more so, because you really aren't thinking much with that unless you're making like some sort of art yarn. Anyway, just food for thought. And another thing is like podcasts. I love podcasts, so I'll probably put a podcast on here soon and just enjoy that while I apply. Okay, so I ran out of yarn on one of my bobbins, so that happens often. So what I'm doing now is I am using the rest of the yarn on this one bobbin to create a center pole ball so that I can 2-ply it to itself so that I can finish my skein, and I'll show you. Looks pretty in this cake spun up. And so this is where I left off. All right, to be continued. Okay, so here I have my center pole ball. So this is the center string I started with, and this is the outer string I just finished with. So I'm gonna just make sure I have both of these when I pull this off so that I can then fly them together. So I will show you what that looks like in a sec. All right, I'm just finishing the setup here to connect these two of my center pole ball. So I will just get this ready. I'm honestly just gonna drop this on the floor. So to connect this, you just kind of lay it in similar to how you're spinning. And if this happens, that's okay. Just make sure, again, you keep tension and divide the yarn and have even tension on both sides so that even if there's any kinks, they will kind of even themselves out. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start flying again in the opposite direction. So in this case it's a little bit trickier because I'm doing both yarns at the same time, but I just kind of lay it in and spin it like that, and it's okay if it doesn't look perfect. I can always fix that after the fact, but that's just kind of how I do it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So now that it's going, I will just keep on keeping on until I am done with this center pole ball. So here I'm actually just tying or attaching the plied yarn to my yarn swift so that I can spin it into a skein, and then I will continue the process of processing it with the next step being placing the finished skein in lukewarm water for about 20 minutes so that it can set the twist, and then we'll check back in and see what that looks like and how it changes. So this is what the yarn looks like right off of the yarn swift. Next we are going to set the twist by placing in water, and we will check back in to see what the finished product looks like soon. So it has been 20 minutes, and now I'm just going to gently press on the yarn to remove the excess water, and then we'll actually roll it up in a towel to get a little bit more moisture out before letting it dry. Okay, so this is a part of yarn preparation that is called thwacking. It's not really necessary. A lot of people do it to help supposedly more evenly distribute the twists throughout the yarn skein, and also to kind of fluff it and make it fuller. Honestly, this yarn is kind of like soft and delicate feeling to me, so I'm not going to thwack it too hard. There is something you can do where instead of thwacking, you like take it in your hands and just like pull it apart around. Probably I should be doing that. I forget the technical term for that right now, but thwacking's actually just more fun. So we're gonna do that. So what you do is you literally grab it here and you swing it around and slam it. And then you turn your hand and you do it again. Do this, and probably you should be using like a not aggressive edge surface here, like a bathtub I think would be better. But yeah, it's a great way to relieve stress. So once you've thwacked around the whole skein of yarn, now you can see kind of what the finished product looks like and move on to drying. Okay, so now that my yarn has dried, we are going to put it into a skein, and essentially all you're going to do is grab it on each end, roll it around or twist it around. I usually just do like clockwise. I don't know that it really matters. And then you will make sure you have a solid grip between your fingers of the yarn, almost forming loops on both ends. And then I like to just pull it around something. Any object works, and that just helps you fold it in half a little easier, and then you just kind of let the end go by keeping it taut. And voila, that is your finished product. Enjoy. I hope that this video inspired you to create your own handspun yarn. There is nothing quite like it. It is extremely squishy and bouncy and super comfy, and just the best thing when you actually wear it. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you liked this content. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at The Wool Roast, where we do a lot more fiber arts related specific content and some fun learning as well. See you there.